Welcome to the True Man Podcast. This is an invitation to radical reconstruction of a man's masculine heart and soul and a place of safe community where we dare to ask questions deep seated inside a man and explore ways to help you become a better man, a better son, a better dad, and a better spouse. Well, I hope you are having an exceptional day, and I want to thank you again for being with me and listening to the True Man Podcast. It means so much to me. And it would be a huge honor. It really and truly would. It would humble me if you could just grab your phone right now and forward this podcast onto a friend today. Help us grow the show. Help us grow the community. Now, today, I want to talk with you about setbacks. I'm even going to talk about the late Kobe Bryant, who left us too soon, him and his daughter and several friends in that tragic helicopter crash a couple of years ago. And I want to talk about Kobe because despite his God-given talent, he also had a legendary work habits that he was known for and mindset that allowed him to focus on setbacks and do something about them. Now, more on that story in a minute. Now, I want to talk with you, as I mentioned, about setbacks. And as you know, life is going to test you. Boy, and how. It's going to challenge you. And at times, it will knock you flat on your back, won't it? Every man walking this earth will face setbacks. You know, those moments when progress slows, when obstacles hinder your journey, and when delay frustrates your efforts. A setback in life could be defined as a slowing of progress, a hindrance, or a delay. It could be an event, a failure, or even an unforeseen circumstance that disrupts your forward momentum. But here's the truth: a setback is only permanent if you allow it to be. Now, it may slow you down. It often does, but it does not have to stop you. And today, I want to challenge you to rise up and take ownership of your setbacks. And as a result, become the man you were meant to be. Now, when setbacks hit, most men, a lot of men, react in one of two ways. They either let their emotions dictate their response, sinking into frustration and self pity, or they evaluate, adapt, and push forward with renewed determination. Now, the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who stay stuck is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It is mindset and action. So let's talk about that a little bit. Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, certainly understood what I just mentioned. I recently came across a video on social media talking about Kobe Bryant, and I think it's a great example of how to overcome obstacles. Now, I like talking about athletes as examples because many of them, well, their failures are right there. Their setbacks are right there, so visible because of television. You're watching, you're always in the middle of an athlete's setback. And ultimately, many times they go on to persevere. And so I think they're great examples. And it can also teach us that we shouldn't let setbacks dominate our thoughts or get in the way of our ultimate success. So let me take you back to Kobe's first year is as a professional player. Now, the Lakers, the team he played for, had made it to the playoffs. And as a young superstar, Kobe found himself with the ball, of course, in the final minutes. 3 times he took a shot to win. And 3 times he missed. And the commentators, they just couldn't believe it, right? The world saw a rising star kind of crumble under the heat of pressure. And as the final buzzer rang, Kobe sat on the bench, his head in his hands. And after the game, a reporter managed to interview him. And expecting to hear how terrible Kobe felt, Kobe looked at the reporter right in the eye and said, "What's feeling got to do with it? I was working out why I missed those shots. I now know why I missed those shots. So now I can do something about it." Wow. Now, when you face setbacks, is that how you look at it? Do you work through it on the spot and try to determine how you can do something about it? This is what separates a man who stays stuck from a man who rises up. And instead of allowing failure, Kobe immediately he sought understanding. Why did I miss? What could I do differently? How could he ensure it never happened again? I think Kobe's mindset teaches us an essential lesson about setbacks. And that is this: every time you encounter failure, you need to ask yourself, one, why did this happen? Was it a lack of preparation? Was it an external factor? Was it something in your control? Two, what can I learn from it? What adjustments need to be made here? What skills need to be improved on? And what habits need to change? Three, how can I move forward stronger? What steps will ensure this doesn't happen again? And how do I use this as fuel rather than an anchor? You have to detach yourself from emotions. This is critically important, and look at setbacks logically. Too many men I see let failure define them rather than refine them. I know. I'm familiar with it. And instead of seeing failure as a personal reflection of inadequacy, treat it as a teacher. Learn from it. Every setback contains within it the seed of a comeback, doesn't it? The seed of redemption, but only if you extract the lesson from the situation. Now, as men of faith, I do believe we have an advantage. We don't have to face setbacks alone. God has already given us wisdom, strength, and guidance to overcome adversity. Now, the Bible is filled with men who face setbacks and emerge stronger, isn't it? Look at Joseph. Was betrayed by his own brother, sold into slavery, and wrongfully imprisoned. Yet, because he remained faithful and refused to be broken, he rose to become second in command over Egypt. How about Moses? He fled Egypt as a fugitive and spent 40 years in the wilderness before God called him back to lead Israel out of bondage. And then there's David. He was anointed king, yet spent years running from Saul, facing countless setbacks before finally taking the throne. Now, one common thread ties these men together. They trusted God through their setbacks. They did not let failure be their final chapter, and the same applies to you. One of the most important things you and I can do is to lean into God's love for us. God sees your setbacks, and what you and I need to do is run to Him in time of need, not away from Him. You know, one of the biggest mistakes I see men make, and I too have fallen victim to this, is when dealing with setback or setbacks, they can be plural, yeah. They allow their emotions to dictate their response. Frustration, disappointment, and even anger are all very natural, aren't they? Maybe you've turned to that. I know I have. But they should never be the driver of your actions. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6 reminds us, Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Now, God doesn't ask us to figure everything out on our own. He asks us to trust him, to submit our plans to him, and to move forward in faith. That means setbacks should not derail us. They should redirect us toward God and what he's trying to teach us. Now, here are a handful of practical steps to overcoming setbacks. I hope this will help you. Accept responsibility. Boy, we do not live in a world that accepts responsibility, do we? It's always somebody else's fault. But I tell you, if you're going to be a success in life, own it. Own your setback. If you failed, acknowledge it. If you were wrong, admit it. Growth starts with accountability. Seek wisdom. Turn to God. Get into scripture. Pray for clarity. Talk to mentors who have faced similar struggles. Learn and adapt. Like Kobe Bryant, study the setback. Where did you go wrong? What needs to change? Take immediate action on it. Don't dwell. Don't overanalyze. Don't overthink. Take the first step toward improvement today. Surround yourself with the right people. A strong support system of men who challenge you to rise up will keep you from slipping into discouragement. And finally, 6, stay in the fight. Setbacks are temporary. The only permanent failure is quitting. Men, you're going to face setbacks. That is absolutely guaranteed. But what is not guaranteed is how you respond. Will you let setbacks define you, or will you use them to refine you? Will you allow delay to turn into defeat, or are you going to rise up, move forward with renewed determination? Now, you have a choice today. You could sit on the bench, head in your hands, feeling sorry for yourself, or you can do what Kobe did. Evaluating, learning, and stepping back onto the court with wisdom to succeed. And he ultimately won some championships, didn't he? More importantly, you can turn to God, trusting that every setback is an opportunity for him to mold you into the man you were created to be. Let your setbacks be your training ground for your greatest victories. The choice is yours to rise up. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. You know, setbacks are so inevitable. We need to talk about it. We need to face these types of things head on. If you're faced with a setback right now, if you're not 100% sure what to do about it, if you'd like to have a conversation about it, join me. Send me an email at mike@truemanlifecoaching.com. I'm happy to talk with you about it. If I can't help you, I will certainly find somebody who will. And join us every week here on the True Man Podcast. If you have an idea for a podcast, send me an email. Let me know. You may touch on something that I have not thought about. And I always enjoy getting correspondence from listeners. Also, go out and give us a great review on the show if you enjoy what we're doing on the True Man Podcast. Go out to your favorite podcast channel. Give me a great review. I always enjoy and appreciate that. Well, until next week, don't go out and make it a mediocre day. I want you to rise up and overcome your setbacks and make it your very, very best day ever. God bless. Thank you for listening.